Welcome everybody to our Monday night shiur. Tonight we have something very special. Everybody here is joining in the Hilula of two great tzaddikim, one Sephardi, one Ashkenazi. The Sephardi is Harav Ben Zion Abba Shaul Zecher Tzedakah Levracha, whose Hilula was this morning. He was the Charut HaRabbeinu Ovadia Yosef Zatzav, and he was one of the great Sephardi poskim. He was a Mikubal, he was a Chacham, he was a Dayan, he was a Rosh Yeshiva, he was Anav. More about him as we go. And also, for the first time ever, Shem, that's us, is doing the Hilula of one of the greatest tzaddikim to ever live. The first Chassid ever of the Hasidic movement, the first Chassid. The Baal Shem Tov's Rebbe's Rebbe. Rabbeinu Eliyahu Baal Shem. I'm talking approximately 400 years ago. Approximately 400 years ago. Till today, his tombstone is in Worms, Germany. People go there to daven. And it's a proven thing that anybody who joins in the Hilula of a Rabbi Eliyahu Baal Shem, and he needs a Yeshua from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he will be granted a Yeshua, a salvation. You have to need a Yeshua, we all need Yeshua. Yeshua Gedolot. Especially if you sponsor it inside the Hilula, then Vapshe, it's something very big. So we're going to talk about those two tzaddikim today. We're going to see some chidushim of the parasha, connect to it. This Rabbi Eliyahu Baal Shem is the first known commentator on the Zohar HaKadosh. He's the first known commentator on the Zohar HaKadosh. We're going to say some chidushim on the Zohar HaKadosh. Some stuff at Inyane de Yoma, we're in the 3 weeks right now. Kol Rodfei Sigua Ben HaMetzarim. Before that, we want to say thank you to our sponsors for tonight's Hilula. We want to say, wish a leda kala to Rachel, bat nekada mina, may she give birth easily ketarnegolet. Lahatzlacha Ariel ben Gavriel, Abraham ben Tzviya, and to our anonymous donor. Hashem yivarech otam babracha, v'atzlacha, parnasa, refuah, yishuot gedolot. V'chen ya'asu v'nomar, amen. Zivug agun leGavriel Chai ben Leachaya v'Aaron Moshe. And Refuah Shlema Michael Chaim ben Ilanit. Hashem will send them a speedily recovery. V'chein Yerazon Amar. Amen. And also, let's not forget our usual sponsors every single Monday night to continue the Torah. Israel ben Asher and his family, and Simcha ben Reuven Pinchasov and his family. Hashem yivarech otam bekol habrachot, bekoach haTorah, velo yamush sefer haTorah ze mipicha, u'pi zaracha, u'pi zaracha ad olam.
Amen. Amen.
So let's start right away. Let's start with the parasha. If you pay attention, this week's parasha, we're going to start with the chidush right off the bat. The Torah says, Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron HaKohen eshiv et chamati b'al bnei Yisrael וקנאו את קנאתי בתוכם, ולא חיליתי את בני ישראל בקנאתי. לכן אמור, הנני נותן לו את בריתי, שלום. Pinchas, the son of Aaron HaKohen, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron HaKohen, he was jealous for me. What's to be a kanai? Bekano. What's kano?
Jealous.
Lekano, to be jealous. He was jealous for me. When he was jealous, I couldn't be jealous. He was jealous for me. He did the job for me. Velo chiliti et bnei Yisrael bekinati, and I was ready to wipe out all of Am Yisrael, and I didn't. So therefore, I'm giving him shalom. There, right away, if you look at the parasha, you're going to see two really interesting. If you look inside the Torah, you're going to see two very interesting things. It's a very big mitzvah, by the way. Where do we get this minhag to look inside the Torah? When we read the Torah, you have to look inside, kiss it. Yeah, where do we get this minhag from? Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it where? He had a book of halachot? He did it, I'm sure. I'm sure he did. The Ari HaKadosh says one of the tikunim that a person could do for pegam ha'einayim, person is pogem ha'einayim, is look inside the Sefer Torah. When a person looks inside the Sefer Torah, he's mitaken his einayim. He's not purifying. He's mitaken his einayim. But you have to have kavanah for that. That's why I'm very makpi to be Baal Koreh at least once a week. Why? When you look at the Torah for so long, it's mitaken your einayim, and it gives you the zchut of gal einay va'abita niflaot mitoratecha. Why do they call it aliyah l'sefer Torah? Why not just holech l'sefer Torah? Mevarech l'sefer Torah. Why is it aliyah? You're upgrading your neshama. There is a Shem yichud from the Ben Ish Chai just to say, right before you go to the Torah, and also Rav Salman Mutzaf, I'm going to print it out, Hashem, one of the things I want to do. I want to print out the tefillah. Every person can say tefillah before he goes to the Torah, Hashem. It's a very big thing. It's kavarot gedolot when a person goes to the Torah during the week and during Shabbat, especially on Shabbat. On Shabbat, the Ariya Kadosh says, what are the levels of the highest aliyot? The highest aliyah is obviously aliyah shishi. Aliyah shishi is the highest aliyah. The Gemara, the Zohar says, Amar Rabbi Krus Pedai. Rabbi Krus Pedai says, Miyama, in my life, I never missed aliyah shishi. That's what he said. After aliyah shishi, what's the highest aliyah? The third aliyah. The third, domolti. Aliyah shlishi is the highest aliyah. One is the yesod in your body. What is the sixth aliyah? Your brit milah. It's the, we're going to talk about it. It's coming to our parasha. The next highest aliyah is the tiferet. It's all the middle column. Tiferet. What's the next highest aliyah after the aliyah shlishi? Aliyat kohen. Chesed el kol hayom. After Kohen comes Levi, and then the fourth aliyah, fifth aliyah is the second to last, then aliyat mashlim. Aliyat mashlim, what does the Gemara say? Technically, even a kid could go up to aliyat mashlim, the seventh aliyah. Why? It's connected Sfirat HaMalchut, it's connected the last midah, the Shekhinah. Even a kid could go up over there. And the last aliyah in the levels is aliyat Maftir. And what do the people fight over the most? Aliyat Mashlim and Maftir. Bihiyad. You know what I'm saying? Bihiyad. For the love of God. People don't know the power of the aliyot. The Ariya Kadosh says specifically what are the powers of the aliyot. Musif, this is not Kol HaMusif, Musifin lo min hashamayim. Let's just say it like that. Kol HaMusif. So when a person looks at the Torah, he's mitaken da'inayim. Now, originally, the Ariya Kadosh said, when a person takes out the Torah, when you take out the Torah, you gotta take the Torah out. You bring it to the Teva. Then when you do Hagba'ah, you open it up and you pick it up. Correct or incorrect? Yes. But the Rashash and Yeshiva Bet El had a different minhag. Right when you come out of the Teva, the guy who's taking it out has to take it out open. Why? There are many people that don't have the ability to look inside the Torah as they're doing Hagba'ah. They can't see their letter, or they just can't see. They're all the way in the back. You understand what I'm saying? Especially during Corona time, everybody was very careful. This, that, in the winter time, the flu, you don't want to all hover around it, right? So therefore, he had the minhag in Yeshivat Bet El, in the Rashash's yeshiva. When they took out the Torah, they would take it out open like that, but there was a problem. When you take it out, you're not allowed to take it out holding it to the bottom. The Torah has to be high up. You have to hold it strong, and you have to walk all around. That's a higher level. We don't do that in our Beit HaKnesset. We follow the Ari. When we get to the Torah, then we pick it up. What's the second thing the Ari says, the Tikun La'inayim? What's the second thing? The second Tikun La'inayim is when you say Parashat Vayomer. When you do the tzitzit, and every morning when you say Shema, right? Uri'item oto. When you say Uri'item oto, and you should see them. What's the minhag? You take your tzitzit. First of all, many people make this mistake. When a person davens, there's many. We should make a shiur one day, all the right minhagim and everything to do according to the Ari, especially when you're davening. When you say in Ahavat Olam Ma'arba Kanfot Haaretz, the Ari Kadosh says at that moment you gotta take all your 4 tzitziot. You have to hold them in your left hand and put them by your heart. How many strings are there altogether? 30 to 32. Lev. The Ari Kadosh says in Shara Kavanot and Priyat Chayim, whoever holds the 32 strings by his heart, it's a very big sigula shelo yichle libo kol chayav, that his heart should never have a problem all of his life. You understand? So what we do, I take the strings are like this. I'm not gonna take out my tzitzit right now, but I take the strings. I'll take out one.
No, because there's
like this. All 4 of them are like this. These are the roots. These are the knots. The knots I hold like this, and this is hanging like this. When I get to the actual tzitzit part, I just take this and I kiss. Now, according to the Ari, the only time you kiss is when you say when you say the word enechem, and then people go like this and then kiss. According to the Ari, that's not what you're doing. You gotta kiss and then put it on the eyes.
You go one
You
by one, they
understand?
go together. Like, it doesn't matter.
But you can do it together. I never see any open this in the Ari. But and the other parts, when you say al tzitzit, we all kiss. I kiss too in the tzitzit. That's the way I was raised. You understand? But really, the kissing is specific when you say the word enechem. First you kiss and then you put in the tzitzit. Same thing in the Shabbat. On the Shabbat table, and the night of Shabbat, before Kiddush. People make this mistake. It's before Kiddush. Person has to go to his mother's hands, kiss her hands, and then she blesses him. Before Kiddush. The father, you do it after Kiddush. But the same thing, first you kiss the hand, and then he blesses you. People do the opposite. They bless, and then they kiss, out of kavod. That's not the way the Ari Kadosh says. First you kiss the hand. Why? In a person's hands, you have the gvurot. The gvura, the power of Esh, is opened in your fingers. That's why they're separated. Chesed is all together. You see water separated. Water, always, you put 2 drops of water next to each other, it's like magnetic. They connect. There's a word for it. I forgot what it is. Yeah, whatever, it doesn't make a difference. They want to connect. They're cohesive. In a cohesive service, they connect. Now, the fire is not like that. Fire, whatever it wants, it spreads. It goes there, it goes here. By the way, right now in Europe, it's going wildfires like crazy. 1,000 people already died from heat, from extreme heat in Spain and Portugal. We have to say Baruch Hashem that we're where we are. Anyways, that's all a lesson for us, by the way. It's like Gehinnom. In the future, Hashem is going to take the sun out of the nartik. The sun has a sheath. He's going to take it out, and all the Rishim are just going to like fly. They're all going to like popcorn, like this, like a mosquito trap, and they're going to go away. That's what Hashem did when Avraham Avinu was sick in the Brit Milah. For tzaddikim, it's going to be refuah shalema. How did Hashem heal Avraham Avinu? He took the sun out of the sheath. The sun out of the sheath, the Shemesh heals. How did Hashem heal Yaakov Avinu from his limp? What does it say in the parasha? And the sun came out. Hashem used the power of the sun to heal Yaakov Avinu. Understand? Anyways, we're digressing. So the tzitzit has the power to be mitaken da'inayim. When you say enechem. Now, what I wanted to say, when you kiss your parents' hands and then they bless you, the point is your mouth has the power of chasadim, has the power to sweeten the judgment. The fingers are judgment. So you kiss the hand to sweeten the parents' hands, and then they bless you, they give you the bracha memutak. The same thing with Yitzchak Avinu. What did Yitzchak tell Yaakov when he came inside for the blessing? He said, "Come here, my son, let me kiss you." And then he blessed him. He didn't bless him, and then he kissed him. Right? First he said, "Kiss me," and then he said, "I'm going to bless you." Now, if you want to kiss your parents' hand afterwards for kavod, you could also do that. That's fine. But lefi ha'ari, now, do you kiss both of your parents' hands, or just one hand? Only the right hand you have to do it. Why? The right hand is the chasadim of the gvura. It's the judgment that can be sweetened. But the left hand is chasadim gdolim. Also, havdalah, people make this mistake. In havdalah, when the havdalah comes, according to the Ari Kadosh, only the right hand you put to the fire, and the thumb has to be inside. The whole point of doing the havdalah, let's see if you guys could follow along, when you do, is to see the reflection of the fire in the nails. That's why, what does the Gemara say, Masechet Nida? It says when you cut your nails, Rishayim take their nails and they throw it around. So people could walk all over. It's Gemara, it's not no Zohar, no nothing. Right? The Benonim throw it out. What do Tzadikim do? They burn it. Why you gotta burn it? If you ever burn nails, it smells like dead meat.
It's like shofar.
You understand? It smells really bad if you burn your nails. But the secret is specifically to burn your nails. Now the poskim say if you flush it, it's just as fine. But according to the Sod, that's not what it says. What do you think? It didn't have a sea back in the day? He would have said throw it into the sea. He didn't say that. He said burn it. Why? The same reason when we put our nails by the fire in Havdalah. What's the reason? The nails is gvura. And the only part of Adam HaRishon's skin that hardened was his nails. Everything else turned into meat. Because his skin was light. It was or. Not or, it was or. Everything turned into skin except for his nails. Hashem did that on purpose. People think nails are tum'ah. They're not tum'ah. Nails is the first line of defense. Is your first line of defense. The Satan sucks from your fingertip. The Shindalets, they suck from your fingertips. Your nails are hard to cut off their yinika, to cut off the power that they could take. That's why every time we wash, what do we wash? You went to the bathroom, but only your hands went inside the bathroom. You're washing your hands. Wash the whole body. You specifically wash your fingers, but you don't wash your legs. Who used to wash their legs only? Kohanim. Am Kedoshecha. Kohanim had the power to wash their legs from the kior. But we don't have that power, except once I taught you guys this. When do we have the power to be like Kohanim? Erev Shabbat. Well, how do you do it? The kavanah is like this. Erev Shabbat, after the shower and after the mikveh. Whoever doesn't go to the mikveh and Erev Shabbat, matzavo bish. Bish means that his matzav is not so good. You must go to the mikveh Erev Shabbat. You must. Huh?
What if you go Saturday morning?
Saturday morning is also good. It's also very good. But you have to go Friday afternoon too. Alright? According to the Ben Ish Hai, Maran HaBen Ish Hai, you have to go 3 times.
What do you have mikveh in the house?
Before Mincha too, he says to go. Yeah, also you gotta go before Mincha too. The Davar Gadol, Anshad, yeah. But the main thing for seemingly is to go on the Friday afternoon. When you go Friday afternoon to the mikveh, you are preparing yourself to accept the ha'arat hanefesh hayetera. Kulehai ve'ulai. Think everybody gets a nefesh hayetera? No. Not everybody gets it. Now, the nefesh hayetera only goes in after the 5th hour of the day. After 11 o'clock. So if you go to the mikveh before 11,
Oh, bueno.
you had Kiddusha, but you didn't do the Kiddusha of the Tosefet Shabbat. Unless there's a Chidush of the Bati Legani, you finished your Shnayim Mikra beforehand. If you finished your Shnayim Mikra beforehand, you could even dip at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock.
As if you brought Shabbat.
Exactly. You already accepted the Kiddushat Shabbat, but somehow by doing the Shnayim Mikra. You understand? Not always to go first, this and that that means you're right. You understand? Sometimes you have to go inside the fray. You have to go inside with the thing. I always go 11, 12 o'clock. There's nobody in the mikveh, by the way. Not even a soul. Why? They stop bringing towels to the mikveh. So nobody goes anymore. They start bringing the towels. Anyways, we're back to the Kiddusha of the... when do you wash your legs? After you take a shower, you fill the natlan with hot water. And you say the pasuk, Ava aza kishol kina, reshafea rish pe'esh shalhevet ya. When you say the name shalhevet ya, it's outside, go in the bathroom. When you say the word shalhevet ya, think of the name Yud-Kei. Yud-Hey of Hashem's name. And then you take the natlan with hot water. It has to be hot water. Not hot water. Hot water has to be. I think you're going to like that. You're not going to like that? You're not here and you're not there. In the middle. Middle column. You take hot water, you wash your hands like Untitled Yadayim. And you have kavanah legaresh et haklipot, legaresh all the satanim from during the week.
Oh, it's not like this.
First the hand. And then you take hot water, you wash your face, especially your forehead, with hot water. And you think of the name Yud-Kei, Shalhevet Ya. You could say the word Shalhevet Ya. And then you pick up your pants, make sure you're not wearing socks. You have a bucket, I have a bucket. Take the hot water and I wash my leg and have kavanah legaresh et haklipot, even from the malchut of the malchut. And then I wear my Shabbat clothes and guess how I come to shul? B'kedusha u'b'tahara. A person who doesn't prepare on Erev Shabbat and he comes to Shabbat.
Wait, so mikvah don't cut it? Yeah, mikvah doesn't.
There is mikveh, there is a shower, and then there is shalhevet ya.
But Rabbi Savitsky said it's pretty hot.
The point is to have the kavanah. You have to say shalhevet ya. You have to say that. And Rabbi Savitsky's mikveh, it's a very big safek if you can make kavanah in there.
Why?
Because it's so hot, all the shmutz from everybody's, it's a small mikveh too, all the shmutz from everybody's body goes inside that mikveh. When I go to that mikveh, I dip one and I get out of there. First of all, I think it's a sakana to be in there a long time. Second of all, hot water, do you know too much heat makes zera come out? It makes zera come out. You understand? So you're going into the water to be tahor, and something is coming. You don't feel it. It's like a drop. It comes out of you because of the heat, because of the extreme heat. What did you gain? So you dip one time for the kedusha and you get it. If I can't, I go to the other mikveh because that mikveh is too hot. Doesn't make sense. There's no connection over there. Yeah, and have kavanah in that mikveh, I wouldn't do it. Why? What kavanah you do like this? I'm going to the mikveh like kedusha. That's enough of a kavanah. Or if a person has a cold mikveh, that's the best. Cold mikveh is like gilgul sheleg. If you ever been to the Ariyah Kadosh's mikveh, according to the Ben Ish Chai in his Tikunim, when a person dips in a very cold mikveh, it's like he rolled in snow. Huh? Not that I know, but if you go to a Hasidim on Borough Park, I'm sure they have very cold mikvehot over there. Huh? They have 2 or 3. Over here we have none. You understand? I remember when I went to New Square, they had 3 mikvehs over there. One freezing, nobody goes in there. One lukewarm, one burning hot. And the burning hot one, you got out of there hairier than when you went in. So that one you don't want to go into. The medium one, say there. The cold one, nobody ever goes into because, it's you can't catch your breath over there. But it's a mitzvah to go in cold water. And it's also a tikun. It's also a tikun for your neshama. It's a tikun for your neshama. But you should know, halachically, all the hot mikvahs, it's a chidush in halacha. You know that. The chachamim, hot mikvah is how old? 200 years? Not even. You understand? It was all a chidush. Many rabbis used to say, you can't go inside a hot mikveh. You must go into a cold mikveh. How they used to do it back in the day? Exactly. So anyways, the second thing is now, there's another tikkun for the einayim. The third tikkun of the einayim is when you is after Birkat HaLevana. No, tikkun ha'einayim. That means we already passed shmirat ha'einayim. We're all shomer ha'einayim. You understand? Tikkun is you gotta clean. You gotta clean it. You understand? Because what happens? This is the Ben Ish Chai. If a person after 120 doesn't fix his einayim, he doesn't come back in a gilgul. He comes back in a bird. This bird is called a ra'ah. Ra'ah, it's like a falcon. It sees very far. You wanted to see a lot in your life? Now you could see as much as you want. There is another tikkun for the einayim, Gabriel. That's to stay up all night and learn Torah. The less you sleep and you open your eyes, it's more you metaken every time you saw. If you do tikkun karet, by the way, every time person was with a nida, made Hilul Shabbat, Chas Shalom ate chametz on Pesach. All this is karet. All these karets add up. What does karet mean?
Disconnected.
Okay, you're still alive. How are you still alive? How are you still alive then? How are you disconnected? Not this guy, disconnected. How are you disconnected? Think about it like this. No.
Like a string.
Think about it like a string. You're connected to your shorish. Every time you do a karet, it gets chopped off. Now the string has to get tied back. Every time you tie back the string, it gets shorter. Your life gets smaller. Another karet, again, they shorten it. And suddenly you see a 45-year-old guy die from cancer.
After 60, you pass
A person who passed the age of 60, they used to make a Yom Tov to Chachamim, that we passed the age of karet. If he passed the age of 70, forget about it. He reached the age of Seva. It's a very high level to reach the age of 70. 80? Atik Yomin. He's considered Arich Anpin already. In the level of Arich Anpin. 80 years old is considered a Ma'ala. Especially if you still have your whole mind in you. It's like you could still walk and do everything yourself. It's one of the biggest blessings in life.
40s?
One of the biggest 40s, yeah. Person who passed the age of 35, it's also a Ma'ala. Why? When you pass the age of 35, some Chachamim used to make a party. He passed half of his life. And if a person passed half of his life and he's religious, it's a promise that he won't go back to being a Chiloni. If you pass the age of 35, half of your life, and you still Shomer Torah and Mitzvot, there's a promise. There's a promise that's not going to be easy for you to take you out of the derech.
What if the person is 80?
Now wait a second. You might see people that are 45 years old who hit a midlife crisis, and they do shtuyot, and they go out, they leave their wife, kids, they go out to countries, the shtuyot over there. They weren't religious to begin with. It was all a costume. It was a costume.
What if someone
And
is
is
8
that-
years old, but he is not Shomer Torah Mitzvot?
That was my question.
There's two options over here. Maybe he's eating up his olam haba. Maybe he's eating up his olam haba. Or number two, he's living off zchut avot. Or he still has some tikkun to do, because you don't know the tikkun somebody needs to do. It could be a tikkun you need to do is to give a person a ride, to do some kind of chesed with that guy. You never know what the tikkun is. But if a person is 80 years old and he's still a chiloni and he still hasn't seen a Kadosh Baruch Hu in his life, matzavo bish. You understand? He has to do some save, but it's very hard to come back in that age. You're already set in your life, you're already pensioner, you've seen everything. You could even be waiting for the next world already. Who knows? You understand? Let's talk about Rabbi Eliyahu Baal Shem. Let's talk about now. Why did I bring this whole thing with the A9? Why did I start off with that? If you look in the Torah in this week's parasha, the name Pinchas is spelled with a small yud. Usually, how do you spell Pinchas? Pei, Nun, Chet, Sameh. This week's parasha, he had a small yud added to his name. But it's small. And then when he says, Hineni notenu biriti shalom, the vav is what? Cut in the middle. It's like Hashem didn't give him the full shalom. What happened to the rest of his shalom? So they said Pinchas is Eliyahu, yeah? Or Eliyahu is Pinchas. If a person shows me where in the Gemara where it says Pinchas is Eliyahu, I'm going to call him Mori Viribi Ateret Roshi. It doesn't exist. There's no Gemara like that. It's a Navi. Who said it's a Navi? Take away his license. Hafuch. From the Gemara, we see that Pinchas isn't Eliyahu. When the Gemara Masechet Megillah counts all 48 prophets, Pinchas is counted separately as a separate prophet, and Eliyahu is counted as a separate prophet. Wait a second. Is Pinchas Eliyahu or is it not Eliyahu? Who's Pinchas? Who's Eliyahu? And not only that, the Gemara makes it even more confusing. Are you Eliyahu Mishevet Binyamin? Eliyahu Mishevet Gad? Are you a Kohen? What are you talking about? There's Eliyahu from Shevet Gad? But it says Eliyahu Tishbi, right? Eliyahu Giladi. Where was Gilad? Shevet? In Shevet Gad. And it says Eliyahu he was from Shevet Gad. The guy who brought the fire on Carmel and did all that stuff. Who brought the guy from the resurrection of the dead. Yonah he brought back. That was all from Shevet Gad. So who's Eliyahu from Shevet Binyamin Bichlal? Where is he in the Navi? He's one sentence in the whole Divrei Hayamim. The whole Divrei has one sentence, Eliyahu, and he's the one doing all the miracles, and nobody even knows him. Everyone thinks the one who's doing all the miracles, Eliyahu Hanavi, that's the Eliyahu that we read in the Tanakh. No, it's not. That's Eliyahu from Shevet Gad. That's Eliyahu Tishbi. The Eliyahu that does all the miracles, Eliyahu from Shevet Binyamin. How do we know that? The Gemara says there about exactly who is that? Who's the one in the breed? It's even more confusing because if he's Eliyahu from Shevet Binyamin, but the only reason that Eliyahu comes to every breed is because Eliyahu said he did a categoria, he prosecuted against the Jews, but that it was Eliyahu from Shevet Gad, so it means Eliyahu does come. I'm confused over here. Is he a Kohen? Is he? What's going on here?
Pinchas is his last name.
Huh? Pinchas is his last name. Pinchas. Eliyahu. Let's go with the whole thing of Pinchas is Eliyahu.
So where do we get that from?
First of all, where did he get the youth from? Who did he get the youth from? From the youth? From Yehoshua? No, Yehoshua got the youth from Sarah. From Sarai. That youth is taken.
No, but
there's no youth. That's it. Where did Pinchas get the youth?
From Hashem.
The youth of Pinchas was a chidush. That's why it was small. It's not written. There is a question in the book, Sod Yesharim of the Ben Ish Chai. The Ben Ish Chai was a big mikubal too. He's known in the halachic world as a big posek. But he has a whole book, questions and answers in Kabbalah, in Sod. It's called Sod Yesharim. In this book, one rabbi, not in Sod Yesharim, it's written in the book Torah Lishma. It's another book that he has. One rabbi asked the Ben Ish Chai, he says, I'm a sofer, he says. And my buddy is a sofer. But my buddy, he only has a talent to write big letters. I have a talent to write. I could take the smallest kaneh and make the smallest letters. Does that mean anything? Is that a coincidence? What does that mean? Or one guy asked the Ben Ish Chai, how come I always have a lot of saliva in my mouth? No matter what I do, my mouth doesn't stop producing in the winter, in the summer. It just keeps on coming out. The Ben Ish Chai answers, it means your neshama comes from here. Your neshama comes from there. For example, the guy who writes the small letter, he said, your neshama is from Asiyah. Asiyah means the lowest level. That's why you have a very big talent to write everything small. Because your tikkun is in the nefesh. Your friend is in the ruach. That's why he knows how to make everything nice. And that doesn't mean you're the Ben Ish Chai right now. You're going to look at every sofer and say he's a nefesh and he's a ruach. It doesn't work like that. You understand? I will give you an example. Let's say you know the power of the sphirot. You know your head is keter. You know your brain is chokhmah and bina. You know your hands are chesed and gvura. Your body is tiferet. Your legs are netzach and hod. Your brit milah is the yesod. The atara, the crown is the malchut. Let's say you know these secrets, but in depth. What every part means, what every finger means. And let's say you personally have a problem in one of those parts of your body. You always get sick in a certain part. You understand? If you know the secrets of the Ari, you could pinpoint what your problem and your tikkun is in this world. Because a person who has a chronic problem, Rabbi Yehuda Aftaya says it means he had that problem in the last Gilgul. That means he's coming back to fix that. Let's say, for example, you see a person, I don't know, he always has nosebleeds. Always nosebleeds. He tries this, he tries that, always nosebleeds. What is the nose? The nose is Sod HaGvurot. The right side of the nose is the Koach to the Tiferet. The left is to the Malchut. It means, let's say he knows that even from one side he has more nosebleeds than the other. That means from that side, he has a pegam. Because your physical ailments is only because of what? You have a spiritual ailment. You understand? Pinchas had a spiritual ailment. That's why, how come he was born before they were Kohanim? He was a Levi. He wasn't a Kohen. How come he was born before? He was the only one he became a Kohen. He was promoted. But his promotion, he was a Kohen Gadol, by the way. Who was the Kohen Gadol of the Jews when they went inside Israel? Pinchas. Elazar passed away. He was Elazar's son. Right. Elazar had one son, Pinchas.
Yeah, but Elazar died before coming into Israel?
They went in. After a while, he passed away. And then Pinchas. Right. Pinchas was a Kohen al Tnai. Pinchas was a Kohen, not by default, opposite, on condition. If he keeps on doing the kin'ah of Hashem.
Oh, so it was enough to do it one time.
That's why we say, is anger a bad thing or a good thing by Jewish people?
Depends how you use it.
Depends how you use it. The Gemara says in Masechet Kiddushin, if a person you see is angry and always starting a fight, you know this guy, he has a pagam in his lineage.
No, but they did this out of...
Did you just hear what I said? You didn't comprehend what I just said.
No, said that
If you see a guy that he's always looking for a fight, and every time he's in a fight, he's the first one to start and the last one to say the last word, he has a pagam. It's not my words.
Yeah, but...
Yichisut de Bavel shtikuta, says the Gemara.
Pinchas didn't do it out of anger, they did it for...
You understand?
Pinchas did it not to get fights.
Yeah.
They did it for Hashem. It's not the same anger.
No. You're not hearing the chidush, you're trying to give me the answer already. How come? But then the Gemara says, it's a machloket Beit Yosef and the Drisha. The Beit Yosef says, there's only one exception to the rule. Who is that, Gabriel? Our wives. No. Kohanim. If Kohanim get angry, it's not a sign of a pagam in their family. Why? The pasuk says, "Ve'amcha merive kohen." Your nation are fighters like Kohanim. Apparently, Kohanim have in their spiritual DNA to be angry.
Women too? I have a friend that is always like he's a Kohen.
He's a Kohen.
I'm a dog, I know you for sure.
Now, it doesn't mean if you have a Kohen that doesn't get angry, he's not a Kohen. It doesn't mean that. I'm just saying that according to, and I'm saying psak. I'm not saying it's a psak. It's a machlok. Beit Yosef and the Drisha. Drisha, for example, says no. Kohanim have to learn how to control themselves too. You can't fight. You understand? I remember once we were in the Koda, we were talking this halakha. So I was learning this halakha. There was a Kohen over there. He got so upset at me. I said, "No, it's a proof that you're a real Kohen. Why are you getting upset at me that I said such a thing?" Anyways, so the Pinchas has to use his kin'ah for the good. But if he uses the kina'ah for the bad, he loses the kiuna. He loses the kehuna. How do we know that? Pinchas is Kohen Gadol. Now, the Jews, before they had kings, they had shoftim. Those guys are the judges. Those guys. Shalom. These guys were giants. I once made a whole shiur about Shimshon. I said things over here that nobody will ever tell you. There was a shofet called Yiftach. Yiftach HaGil'adi, funny enough. This Yiftach was Ben Isha Zara. She was he was born out of an illegitimate marriage. Not a mamzer, but illegitimate from a different woman. When he grew up, his brothers kicked him out of the house. He said, "You're not gonna inherit with our father." He was from the tribe of Menashe. They kicked him out. He goes to this place called Tov, a set town called Tov. And as every person that has a high neshama, a lot of the nitzotzot come to join him. V'yasfu alav anashim rekim. A lot of all the banzitim, all the shovavnikim started to be his friends, and he started to have a following. Suddenly, a king of Ammon gets up and he says, "You guys are living on my land." Remember, Moshe came, and then Sichon and Og came, and they started to fight. And Moshe basically showed them who's boss. He showed them who he laid down the hammer. Yes or no? That land of Sichon and Og, who lives over there now? Shevet Gad and Shevet Menashe and Reuben. But that land was originally part of Ammon's land. How do we know? Sichon, which was a giant also, had a fight with the king of Ammon and Moab. He used Bilam Arasha, he used Bilam to win Moab. That's how Balak knew that Bilam had the power to curse. How did he know? Because Sichon used him to curse Moab originally. So Balak says, "Now I want to hire you. You're an assassin for hire. Let me hire you too." At the end, it came at Berachot. That's a good question. Now you're thinking good. How did Sichon know? So, to be continued. So that land was part of Ammon. So Ammon says to them, "Give it to me." They go to Yiftach and they say to Yiftach, the Zkenim, the elders of Ammon, of Menashe, "We're going to make you our head. We're going to make you the shofet. Just lead us into battle. We heard that you have a lot of buddies over there. You could lead an army. We need a conductor. We need a general." Yiftach was not a big Talmid Chacham. But he said to them, "If you make me your head, I'll fight for you. But you got to make me your head." Agreed. He goes to war. And he has a whole speech, and the speech is recorded in Shoftim. It's recorded. It's like 3 pages. 3 pages long. This is a pretty big speech over here he gives. And he goes to war, and basically he basically rips Ammon a new one. He shows them from where they didn't mess with Am Yisrael till David HaMelech's time. He showed them like who's the boss. When he comes back home, he makes a net, and the Torah says, the Navi says, "V'tihi alav ruach Hashem." God's spirit rested on him. That means he was an Am Haaretz. So, according to some, he was an Am Haaretz. He didn't know halachot of Nedarim. And he says, "The first thing that comes out of my house, I'm going to bring as a korban." And his daughter comes out. Now, everybody who knows halachot Nedarim knows that a neder could only fall on something that's possible. It doesn't fall on an aveira. So his daughter was technically, she could have done the hatara herself, because you can't tell me what to do because of your neder. You understand? Right. But no, he makes the neder and he sacrifices her. He takes her, like Akedat Yitzhak, and he brings her up as an olah. According to one opinion, no, he just made her die childless. Let's go according to the second opinion. It's more juicier. He actually shechts her and he brings her up as a korban. Who was the Kohen Gadol at that time? Pinchas. When Pinchas heard what Yiftach did, not that he sacrificed it, he made the neder, this is the chidush. That he made the neder. Right away, you should have went and made Hatarat Nedarim. But he was a Kanai. What was Pinchas? A Kanai. He was jealous. He was a zealot. He was a zealot. He said, this Am Haaretz. He doesn't even know halachot. He made himself a shofet. I'm going to give respect to this Am Haaretz. And I'm going to do Hatarat Nedarim for him. He used his kina'ah the wrong way. And he lost the yud. That's why halachically, when you write Pinchas in a ketuvah, you don't write it with the yud. You write it peinu, you don't write it with the yud. He lost the yud. And when he lost the yud, he passed away. Do you know we have Pinchas's grave in Eretz Yisrael? There's a grave of Pinchas. It's next to Yoshua ben Nun. I never been to the Arab side. At least not that Arab side. This is the West Bank. He lost the yud. That's why he lost the kihuna. After he did that avera, the kihuna went from his descendants to Itamar.
Cousin.
His cousin, which was from his father's brother's kids, Elazar and Itamar. Until when? When did it go back? When did it go back to Elazar's kids, to Pinchas's grandchildren again?
David.
Huh?
David.
In David's time, who was the Kohen? Tzadok. When did Tzadok get the kihuna again? When David was very old, and he was 70 years old, and he couldn't get hot. And they brought her Avishaga Shunamit, which was a very beautiful woman. She was the most beautiful woman. Avishaga Shunamit. And they brought him to her so she should sit in his lap. She should warm him warm his body. And he had no ta'ava for women already. He lost all ta'ava. And the Torah says he could have divorced one of his wives and been with her. That's such a beautiful young girl. And he didn't. She didn't even sit on his lap. She just used to offer him tea. That was enough. And Chachamim said, we need a new king. And the oldest son was who? Adoniyahu. Rav Shalom was dead. Adoniyahu. And Adoniyahu said, I'm king without getting his father's permission. And Eviatar Kohen, which is a descendant of Itamar's kids, backed Adoniyahu. He lost the kihuna. And not only did he lose the kihuna, all the descendants of that line of Eliyahu, I'm mixing Eliyahu Kohen up. The line of Eviatar lost the Kohen Gadolship forever, and it went to whose line? The line of Pinchas again, which is Elazar Kohen. But that yud that he got, he never got back. When is he going to get it back, says the Ari? When Mashiach comes. Moshe is Mashiach, and Moshe didn't know how to speak. He was Megamgem. Ari says in Shara Gilgulim, also Mashiach is not going to have the power of speech. He's going to speak miraculously. Who was Moshe's Meturgaman? Who was his speaker? Aharon. Who's going to be his speaker this time? Pinchas. And he's going to finish his job. That's what the Ari HaKadosh says. That's what the Ari HaKadosh says. In Shara Gilgulim, at the end over there, I'll show you the page, that Pinchas is going to be the Meturgeman, and that's the secret where it says, Hineh anochi sholeach lachem et Eliyahu hanavi. Lifnei bo hayom Hashem hagadol v'hanora. Why Eliyahu hanavi without the vav? Where is the vav of Eliyahu? So they say, Yaakov took a vav, Pinchas, Eliyahu took a vav. Okay, that's one answer. What other letter is cut in the middle in the parasha? The vav. The vav in Pinchas. Why? Pinchas has a yud. He needs the vav. Why? Your brit milah is the letter what? Vav. The yud is the atara where you make the brit. Until Eliyahu won't come, which is Pinchas, to every single brit, which means all the kids are not born, he's not gonna come. He's not gonna be here. He needs his vav. To get his vav, he needs his yud. To get his yud, he needs to go to every brit milah. To go to every brit milah, we all have to have children. And until we don't have all of our children, Eliyahu Hanavi won't come. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hanan ben Akashia Omer, Atzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Zakot Et Shal Heban, Torah Chazaman Tzidko, Yagdir Torah v'Yadir.